2, 1.
That was late.
We're live.
Hi, Facebook.
What's up?
Happy Tuesday, friends.
Is it Tuesday?
It is. I know it doesn't feel. I don't know what days. They're all kind of mushing together, so it all feels a little funny.
Yeah, man. Totally. I'm going to rely on you to keep me on track from now on because we would have been a half an hour late for this if it were up to me. And I don't even know what day it is. So
Cool. We're just being flexible and going with the flow, right? That's what's great about.
about us.
Yes, about us. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, happy Tuesday. I hope everyone is off to a good start of their week. And if you're not, hopefully we can brighten your afternoon a little bit. Chelsea here from Rock Recovery, and John is joining me today. I'm super excited.
Yay, power duo. So John Lockwell here, not on the road today, not running, peer support program manager with Rock Recovery Fitness. And we are here to talk about self-care today. Yay.
Yeah, so John and I, if you missed any of our broadcasts last week, as usual, all of our videos do save so that you're able to go back and watch them, whether it's on our YouTube channel or on our Rock Recovery Facebook. So if you tuned in last week, you got to see the Kara and Brian duo talk a little bit about self-care. So John and I wanted to jump in again on that topic and really just talk about some different self-care things that work for us. And also talk about, self-care of kind of being in the field of when you're, providing help for other people and what that self-care looks like. Hey, Mary Lynn.
Hey, Lynn. How you doing? So it's really tough because I went back again. Of course, I watched Brian and Kara last week because I just had to watch them, their Facebook debut. We're old school. You guys have seen our face a ton of times, but never together. So this is a new dynamic, but man, they're going to be a tough act to follow. They did such a great job with this whole subject last week that when Chelsea and I were talking about what are we going to talk about today, it was really hard because they were very comprehensive in their research on it, really, and also in their comments, and they're both really good at self-care. So we decided to take a slightly different angle on it today. They talked about and looked at a lot of the different dimensions of self-care. And I can tell you that from my perspective and my vantage point, when I started working with Rock Recovery back in 2017, 2018 as an employee, but 2017 as a volunteer, one of the things that was really reinforced, I almost said harped on, but that's not a very good way to put it, but in supervision, which supervision is really kind of a misnomer. We really treat it more like support, right? It's like supervision sounds very, I'm going to direct you kind of a thing, but it's really, as Chelsea can attest to, it's really, how can I help you, right? As your quote unquote supervisor, how am I going to be able to support and help you? And so one of those things that in all of my supervisions with Yana, right from the very beginning, were always about, self-care. It was just it came up every single time. What are you doing for self-care? How are you taking care of yourself? Because this work, we are social care providers. We are in the business of social work. We're very, I don't know, Chelsea fixers. We want to fix things. We want to take care of people. We're very compassionate and empathetic, and I think that comes across in our entire staff and volunteer force. Just as an organization, we really want to wrap people with care, and oftentimes in this work, we're the last ones to get that care. So we're so busy caring for other people that we're the last ones to get it, and it's very important. Because as we've seen, there's a lot of burnout. There's a lot of compassion fatigue. It starts to come out in really weird ways that are completely unintended, right? Almost to the point where you just can't even do the work anymore. So right from the very beginning, self-care was just a huge component of, making sure you're okay. So you're pouring from that empty cup, right, Chelsea?
Absolutely. And that's something that definitely had to be learned over time too. Even joining back on the team in October, that was one of the things that was also stressed to me from the very beginning as well, is how important that self-care is. And, you know, while I logically know that in my mind, practicing it, as so many things in life, is a whole nother thing, right? So it was something that really took practice over time. And, you know, sometimes when we're pushed to those limits is when, you know, when we kind of take action and really start to learn the lessons that are meant for us to learn. So sometimes it took me, you know, like pouring way too much of myself into other people's lives to realize, okay, you know, I'm a little off. I'm not feeling on top of my game. I'm not feeling as helpful as I normally would. Why is that? You know, is there enough time left for me at the end of my day? And realizing sometimes that, you know, there's not, you know, so, you know, getting to that point of feeling a little bit off and feeling that pain a little bit, right? That it was kind of, you know, a turning point to be able to prompt some sort of change and really look at, all right, like how much self-care am I doing? What am I doing for self-care? And am I doing enough of it? You know, once a week is of, you know, taking a little bit of time for me, you know, I'm realizing that that's not enough, and that's okay. You know, as John mentioned, you know, that the whole concept of, you know, if my cup's empty, you know, we can't pour from an empty cup, right? So just really, really stressing the importance of self-care for all of us, but, you know, especially for people who are in that field of care, whether you are a social worker or a nurse or, you know, a caregiver or, you know, anything along those lines. Realizing that, again, just the importance of it. So John and I had talked about, you know, we did find a great article, which we're going to share on here in a moment, just some bits and pieces from that. But we also thought it would be important to talk about, you know, some of the self-care things that work for us as individuals, and realizing that, you know, self-care for all of us looks different, right? And I think that even mentions it in the article, but, you know, that there is no one size fits all. And that's with so many different things in life. So, you know, some things that work for John may not work for me, you know. So, but I do guarantee that there's one thing on John's list that's most likely on mine, and I'm curious to see if I'm right about that.
Well, so you're right. The whole one size does not fit all. I mean, that's true, you know, in recovery. That's true of everything, right? Everything is individualized. And I just want to back up and say that, you know, this subject matter for me was just a natural, because that for me is what recovery fitness represents, is self-care. It really is self-care on steroids. It's a recovery fitness is for me, it exemplifies every aspect of self-care. It's service to others. It's taking care of myself. It has a halo effect. It's a holistic approach that has a halo effect on every aspect of our life. So that's what it really, my entry into recovery fitness was all about. Self-care, but not self-care in so much as utilizing the gym. I knew it was there long before I ever walked in the door. The way I walked in the door at Recovery Fitness was through a service to others, right? So through doing our community outreach over on North Clinton. That's really how I entered the doors of Recovery Fitness. I didn't do it through the gym. You know, the gym was sort of an afterthought, and an after, because I was already, you know, years of running and weightlifting and all this other stuff. It just was a natural fit for me on that aspect, but it was really the service work. So I just wanted to back up and talk about that. Just the whole foundation of Recovery Fitness is really all about self-care. Yeah. But as we can see, too much of a good thing then ceases to be self-care, right? So you want to dive into our quick list of what we've done over the last week as far as self-care goes?
Sure, absolutely.
Top 5 list.
Yeah. And you know, John made a good point too, you know, doing our best to find balance. You know, I don't want to get too much into that because that's a whole nother topic I could talk about, but just having that awareness, you know, along the same lines of this idea of perfection, right? Balance and perfection are something that don't ever really exist. But for me, it's something I still strive for. So I don't drive myself crazy when I'm feeling really off balance. I do my best to get back on it. You know, but I strive to find it. I strive to find balance anyways, but recognizing perfect balance doesn't exist. And John touched on that when we talk about sometimes too much of a good thing or too much of a self-care thing, you know, can kind of be in a form of almost an avoidance instead too. So we want to be mindful of that. So we'll kind of jump back and forth here to share a little bit of our own list. But my first one I had on my list was something I actually did this morning, but that I've found myself doing a lot more during you know, quarantine life, of, you know, taking a walk in the morning before I jump into work. I don't know about anybody else, but, you know, from the moment I wake up, my brain is very, very busy and I'm like, I got to do this, and that, you know what I mean? Like I'm already going. and I've barely woken up. So one of those self-care things for me I've realized is that I need to take a little bit of time for me in the morning, and whether that's getting up and just spending a few minutes in silence in the morning, or taking a walk before I jump into the 5 million tasks I have to do that day, is just something that kind of helps set the tone and set the pace a little bit. I take a little bit of that time for me, get up and get moving a little bit, because once I do that, I'm a little bit more calm, and I can for me, I can kind of come back and start my day with a clear mind, after I've taken that walk, or even just sat outside for 10 minutes and had my coffee. Just taking that quiet time in the morning just to go do something like that is so important. Get moving. That's right.
Right. So yeah, same here. I mean, this morning, I started out with my 4-mile run this morning. So I would quickly follow it up with, that is great self-care. It's also great self-care not to go running, right? So if you got an injury, or if you're just not feeling it, it's okay. Don't feel guilty about that. Sometimes it's okay just to hang out, have an extra cup of coffee, and do a little extra meditation or something, or just jump right into work, but be aware of how you're feeling and then honor that. And sometimes, self-care is not to get moving. Sometimes it's, especially as you get older, like me, sometimes you need a little bit of a break every once in a while too, or you're gonna break something. So
very good point.
Good one. Hey, also real quick, I just wanted to give a shout out and say hi to some of the folks. I saw some comments. I wanted to stop and say hi to Mary Lynn, Elena, Richard. Look at Richard's on with us.
Yeah, Richard. Hey, Richard. Hey, Nellie.
Nellie, Kendall. What is Richard saying there? Oh, hey guys.
Welcome, Kendall. And I see that, Kendall, you're new to Rockcovery. That's awesome. We're so glad you're here joining us. And one thing I just love about our community as a whole, I mean, I've already seen Richard, Nellie, and Marilyn all welcome Kendall.
Yeah.
I mean, that truly just goes to show what loving people that we get the joy of encountering. And I just love to see that compassion spread on. And welcome, Kendall. We're glad you're here. But I just love everybody else jumping in on that and welcoming each other too. That's great.
That's awesome. Yeah, Mary Jo does that in the morning during my Life on the Road broadcast. She welcomes everybody in. It's so amazing. I love it. So I have my own welcomer. So hopefully she'll hop on at some point.
Hey, Danny. Welcome.
All right. What do you got for number 2, Chels?
So number 2, a little bit tied in with that, but starting my day with meditation, and that's also a very large topic too. But again, for me, we can stop and meditate through any point of our day. But like I just shared, my brain is very busy in the morning, so I've really gotten to make it a habit for myself to push that meditation to before I jump in with work, before I jump in with phone calls. It's just really important for me to just quiet my brain a little bit and center myself. And my meditations look very different. Sometimes I use guided meditations through different apps on my phones. Insight Timer is a really good one. If you haven't heard of it, check it out. Sometimes I do silent meditations, or I'll kind of guide myself in my head. And for a while, I actually started, this was months ago, but my meditations were getting kind of stale. So I switched it up and I started I have like those adult coloring books, and I love art and I love drawing, but sometimes when it's already drawn for me and I can just sit and color, like sometimes I need those mindless activities just to, you know what I mean? Like I can just totally zone out. I'll set a timer for 10, 15 minutes and really just spend that time coloring and just sit in complete quiet and do that.
Cool,
so morning meditation.
Yeah, meditations take a lot of different paths, much like the pathways of recovery. It's different pathways of meditation. Running for me a lot of times is meditation as well, and I talk about that in my live feeds as well. Particularly trail running, just really anything that forces you to be in the moment and not be off thinking about what you're going to do next or what you did yesterday, or really just focused on the very next step or the very next breath or the very next whatever it is. Running for me is very much a moving meditation. So in addition to my guided meditations for mindfulness or for loving kindness or for whatever, just those, I know when I need to go out and do a trail run because I'm really just not in the moment, and I'm either stressed about something to come or thinking about something that has been. So great one. Awesome. We're both really big into that.
Yes. Good stuff.
Number 3.
Number 3 is setting boundaries with my phone, technology, computer, social media, any kind of technology.
Is that important at all? I don't know.
Oh goodness. Yes, I'm sure a lot of us can relate to that. While I really do want to express the importance of connection to have with each other, especially during this time, right? We're all physically distanced from each other, but it's still very important to have that connection. But like I was talking about balance a little while ago, too much for me, phone time, social media, computer, staring at my laptop, too much of that really just starts to mess with, my mental state. I get irritable. I've been getting headaches from staring at the computer too often. So that's, and this is something I've shared in my videos before, but, we're constantly in this state of trial and error, right? So every week I've encouraged, in my past videos for people to share like what works and what doesn't work. And, what are some things you want to shift around for your upcoming weeks? So that was something I did not discover right away when quarantine started. It took me, quite a few weeks and a month into overexposure of all my phone and screen time to realize that, hey, this is affecting me. I need to take a step back. So sometimes for me, it kind of helps to put up those boundaries, and it can be a physical boundary. I can set a timer and say, all right, for half an hour, I'm going to, work straight at my laptop, no other phone distractions. And then when that timer's up, I can get up and go take a little break. And it's not something that you have to stick with, but certainly sometimes having those actual timer, like physical boundaries for me was something that kind of helped. But yeah, I cannot be on my phone 24/7. It's that leads to burnout very quickly, as we've talked about Zoom fatigue multiple times. That's a real thing.
Yeah.
Setting boundaries.
It really is. And, that's a great one, Chelsea. And it's one that we talk about quite often, particularly you and I, that sort of that information in feed or whatever you want to call it, to be able to limit that is something that, again, and it's not the same for everyone. Like some people thrive with that and recharge with that. And like through that, whatever kind of social connection they can get, I get drained. Like I can't limit I'll get sucked into the news feeds and stuff like that. And we've talked about that. Like that drove me to being off social media. Like I'm not on anything right now. I think Instagram just so I can post some pictures every once in a while, but just the constant influx of, not even negativity necessarily, that you can like unfriend people, but even just the constant information, like it just became so automatic for me to just pick up my phone and start thumbing through. No matter how many times I said to myself, don't go through the news feed, just go do, your work on the Facebook page and do whatever and get off it. I would find myself just, like I had no control over it, what does that sound like? Right.
Right.
It's a process addiction. Right. So, and I know I'm prone to those types of behavior. So I needed to just get it out. So man, again, you and I are always talking about how we're so in sync with a lot of things. That's, again, that's a great self-care. Just knowing, again, having that awareness, having that self-awareness to say, I need to practice some self-care measures here, whatever that looks like to me. Great one.
Absolutely. So number 4, there are so many simple little things we can do for ourselves throughout our day at home that are cheap and easy or often free, right? Meditation's free, right? But sometimes it's okay to enjoy those little luxuries in life. So sometimes there's some self-care things that, cost money, and sometimes I want to save up for those things, and that's okay to do too, for me, like, and this is not something I do often, maybe once a year, but for me, like I love going to get, a professional massage or something like that, or taking a little weekend trip, things like that do cost money, but there's something that's, important to me, and doing something nice for myself that really, takes care of myself. And I think so often, in a world of, givers and fixers, it's very easy for us to give to other people. But sometimes it's nice to give ourselves a little gift, right? Someone was sharing something with me the other day about, she was doing this 40-day practice of writing little love notes to herself. And I thought, how amazing is that? How easy is it for me to do that to other people? But how hard is it for me to be kind and practice that self-love, for me, that's for whatever reason, it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to do. So I think, every now and then it's okay to go, to treat ourselves a little bit, or give whatever that looks like, to splurge a little bit, and that doesn't mean it's something I do every day or every week. It's every now and then. I have other responsibilities I need to take care of first, but for a while, for example, I was like saving every $5 bill I got back, and that took a while, but it eventually started adding up. So it can be something simple that happens over time, but we can save up and pamper ourselves, whatever that looks like to you. Take yourself out for dinner, take yourself out for a coffee, or treat yourself every now and then. It's it's kind of giving yourself like a little hug, just
yeah. Really. Have you ever had a facial?
I have not.
Oh, dude, you gotta get one. It's amazing. I know. Yeah, I was gonna pick on me for that, but she already knows that. I've divulged that before.
Yes. Yeah. And if you're somebody who is very physically active, it's nice to have those professional massages every now and then, right? That's another way of taking care of your body, letting your body have a little bit of rest, and letting somebody else help out and physically take care of your body too. That's important to take care of that. If you're an athlete, if you play sport, going to get sports massages every now and then, like that's self-care. It's taking care of you.
Yeah. It's so important too, because then you have that memory forever. I mean, it's not just like, even just thinking about it now, you can think about it in stressful times and be like, oh, that was so amazing, I can't wait to do that again, and come up with ways to save up for it over time. It doesn't have to be a big big extreme thing. And there's people that do it, they'll bring a table to your house. I know a couple of people that are licensed massage therapists who have traveling tables, and they'll come to your house, and they do it pretty cheaply. So there's always a more cost-effective way to do things as well, if you really want to look into it and research it. So
absolutely, good stuff. So my last one on here, and I almost guarantee that John probably has this on his list, is Friday night pizza.
Oh, dude, you even stole the day. Yeah.
I actually did that this past Friday night, and that's very rare for me. Like, maybe I'll have pizza once or twice a month, and I don't want to get into the whole nutrition piece. Lindsay and Kirsten did a really great piece on nutrition last week, but you know what? Every now and then, like for me, eating healthy is just a lifestyle and a way of life for me that I've come to enjoy and come to love. But if I can practice that 80 or 85% of the time, like, I'm happy with that. Every now and then, like, if I want to go out for ice cream, then I'm going to do that. If I want to have pizza on a Friday night because it's a treat for myself after working hard all week, I get to do that. And I think
any day that ends in Y, really, I think is perfect. Well, Chelsea and I kind of bond over food.
Yeah.
We both tend to like food a lot.
Food is life.
Food is love. It really is.
Food is love. And
and I'm not even Italian.
Right, well, yes. So those were just a couple of mine. I'm curious, John, what are some of the ones that you do for yourself throughout the week?
Well, yes, as you know, Friday night pizza makes me very happy. Like, we have a check-in, we have an OES check-in every Friday. Outreach and engagement specialist check-in every Friday, and it's always, I'm like, hey, it's pizza and movie night. It's my favorite day of the week because of that. It's just a treat at the end of the week, and it just makes me happy. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So during the COVID pandemic and all the distancing that we've had to do, several weeks ago, I did something that was more out of self-care than it was evident at the beginning. So I was having a hard time being in isolation and not being of service. And Chelsea knows this because we've had these conversations, and I decided to reach out to a friend of mine who's the executive director at Open Door Mission to say, I know, the shelters are really overcrowded right now, and I know you guys probably need some kind of help. How can I help? What can I do? Do you need, my schedule is flexible. I'm working from home right now, but that being said, I have the flexibility. My youngest son and my oldest son's at work every day anyways. My youngest son can go stay with his mom. I can isolate if I need to. How can I help? So anyway, long story short, and not to get into the whole thing, but I started helping out with one of the emergency shelters that they set up in the city for the medically vulnerable homeless population to help them isolate more. So I did that as a self-care thing. It wasn't to and that's why I was really pretty quiet about it, because I didn't want to, anybody that did know about it in my circle were like, oh, that's so great that you're doing it. But it was really for me. It wasn't, I like to make it seem like I was doing it to help other people, but just the way I got into this work to begin with, it wasn't out of some altruistic, philanthropic sort of need to help people. It helps me. Like, I was sitting here feeling useless and feeling like, honestly, feeling like my recovery would be in jeopardy if I continued to sit here. And not to say that, supporting the staff who, is amazing, that I get to work with every day is enough, but it isn't. Like, to do this virtually over Zoom calls, it just is not. Again, that's really being aware of what I need and honoring that. I needed to get out into the community to help somehow. I just knew that had to happen. So, and then out the other side of my mouth, I will say what I've done recently is I've actually stopped doing that. My last day doing that was just the other day because of, identifying that now, as we start to talk about plans to re-engage the community, that my staff needs me more. My family needs me more. My job that I'm committed to with every breath that I have in my body needs me more. So I needed to then sort of adjust again and be aware of where I needed to be spending my time, so I didn't feel like I was doing a disservice to anything else. So it was really just really helping others as a self-care technique for me. And again, the whole reason why I even got into this work at all is because I knew I needed to do that for my recovery. I was so sick that I needed to make a career out of service work, right? Making coffee, taking out the garbage, I had always known wasn't enough for me. Being a greeter at, mutual aid meetings is always great for me for the first 6-9 months, but I need something more. So anyway, to bring it to something a little lighter, I bought a little flower basket for my porch the other day. Just my office here, I have a window that looks out of my porch, and the flower basket is right where I can see it, and it just makes me happy. So it's just a little thing that just like, I haven't had one out there in a couple of years. So my self-care is I look up when I'm on a call or something, I see my flower basket out there.
The ambiance, I love it.
Ambiance, right. And along with that, like, even just getting up between Zoom calls, and I'll like vacuum the floor really quick because I have a dog who sheds like it's his job, or cleaning the windows. Right, in the spring, I live out in the country and we have farms everywhere, and there's dirt on all the windows. Every spring, I go through and clean the windows, and it's just like, it's just a little improvement, but it's an improvement that, like, all together between the flower basket, the vacuuming, and the clean windows, just, I don't know, for me anyways, it just makes the environment better for me.
I agree. Clutter-free, clean workspace equals a clean mind in my little world.
Yeah. And not to go on too long with this, because I know that we do have some time constraints. On a beautiful, warm, sunny day, going out in my yard and just sitting in a lawn chair and reading all day until I get so sunburned that I need a towel on. It ranks right up there with pizza and movie night. There's that, and having a really good book and just sitting out in the yard and having my dog with me and just sitting there and reading, even just for an hour or two, is like, it recharges my soul. It's amazing how that just, I don't even know, my phone is inside, turn my phone off.
Yep. That's perfect. I love that.
So beautiful. I get happy just thinking about it, and that's how I know it's self-care, right? Makes me warm and fuzzy on the inside.
Yes.
So that's kind of what I had. A lot of it is, again, self-care isn't always doing something. Sometimes it's not doing something, right? Just really being aware and honoring where you're at that moment is self-care, and not beating yourself up for it, not feeling guilty about it. Again, I think that, when we're doing it in moderation. We're doing it to recharge and take care of ourselves. As long as we do it within those parameters, it's healthy, right?
Yeah, I agree with that, and and again, it's about finding that balance, so as much as I would love to eat pizza on every day that ends with a Y.
Might have done that once or twice.
All right, maybe. All right, so using a better example, like same thing, I love sitting outside and, enjoying that sunshine and reading and taking that time for me. That's important. But, that can cross a boundary of, moving into distraction, which is kind of like an unhealthy self-care. So if that's something I'm doing all the time, every single day, and avoiding all of my other responsibilities, avoiding people, that's when I gotta kind of check in and say, okay, like where I don't feel very balanced with this. I feel like I'm using this as a distraction instead of, a self-care or a coping skill, so how can I get back on balance? Like what are some of the things I'm avoiding? Do I need to, reset and reevaluate, so doing our best of finding whatever balance that we can.
Well, I'm glad that you bring that up because that actually reminds me, I'm reading some things.
Sorry.
What's going on over there?
Dogs.
We love dogs too. Dogs are self-care too.
Dogs are self-care. Absolutely.
There's different publications out there that talk about the fact that, there's so there are recreational uses for things that we can't, aren't safe for us to use. So substances, alcohol, what have you. 90% of the population can use these things recreationally and where it won't cause problems in their life, right? So, and that's just a fact of life. And that, again, just boils down to awareness. And I feel fortunate enough to have lived long enough to be able to come to a place where I have that awareness that's just not something that I can do. Right. I know that, and I will have a tendency to eat too much pizza or to be out in the yard and read too much and utilize those things to try and distract myself from the things that really matter in life. And luckily, I pray, I thank God every day that I've lived long enough and that he's allowed me to be on this planet long enough to find a place like Recovery Fitness where I've been able to experience deep, meaningful, nuanced relationships in my life that I've never had before, right? Yeah. So I want to be present for those, right? I want to be here and I want to be, I don't want to numb myself from life anymore. I want to be present. It's nice to get little breaks every once in a while through the reading in the yard and stuff like that, but I want to come back, and I want to be here, for my kids and for my mom and for my, all of my friends and for, the people that I work with who I love deeply and really care about. So it really, being present in the moment, Kendall, definitely, that's what I want to be. And I'm just so grateful to be at that point finally in my life. It took me a long time, and Chuck, I give you credit all the time for being, we got a couple of years between us, but I'm a little bit jealous that you found these things when you have in your life, because you have such a long time ahead of you to enjoy all these things that you found and all these amazing relationships and everything. Mm-hmm. And I'm not regretting having found them. I'm very grateful for having found them, because unfortunately we know a lot of folks who just never did. Mm-hmm. And that, that's why we do this work for them. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. And now, I didn't at first, but, now having much more of an appreciation, and a sense of gratitude for finding these things, at the age that I did, but when I first came in, I was very resentful that, struggling with a lot of those internal battles of coming in so young, but, even finding the population of Rockcovery, we see all sorts of people, all ages, all backgrounds and demographics that come in, but, I started to meet also a lot more people my age too. And it really just gave me this sense of gratitude for, you know what I mean? Like being sober where I'm at now, so I'm able to, now be present in the moment and, look forward to, all the years that I have ahead too. So I appreciate that. But yeah, doing our best to, as Kendall said, be present in the moment. So if you check out that article that we posted up a little bit higher in the comments, there's a lot of good little, tidbits on there on mindfulness really tied into self-care. And John made a good point. I want to be present. I want to show up for the people in my life today. And I can do that through, work and, connecting with, with peers, connecting with you all who are tuning into these videos, we have that today. And it's a joy to be able to do that, and as John said, not everyone has gotten to that point, but we continue to show up every day and fight for the people that are still here. So that always just leads me right into, if anyone is new or struggling right now, or family or friends who are really struggling and feel the need to reach out and just connect, we're still here, going strong. So you can see our phone number there for peer services at the bottom of the screen. You can also Facebook message us, or even if you just need to talk and just reach out. If you need resources, we're here. We can get you linked and connected. Oh, Kara says she loves our faces and jazz hands, so now I have to give Kara jazz hands back. Yay! So yes, please reach out if you are in need of peer services, or if you know anybody else who is.
Yeah, we got some of those peer services, don't we?
We do. Got a few of those peers. So that was fun. That was good. So thank you for tuning in today. It was really nice to see some new people, but also see some familiar faces too. And that just, for me, that just gives me gratitude for, being able to continue to do this work and be present and connect with others too. So I thank you all for showing up and participating today. That was great.
Yeah, thank you very much. And thanks, Chelsea, for making my first venture into StreamYard Duo feeds relatively painless and pretty easy. So hopefully we'll get paired up again at some point. We're trying to mix up the pairings and keep the topics the same. So again, Kara, you and Brian made this really hard to top, and I don't know if we did it necessarily, but we tried, and you guys did such an amazing job, and I can't wait to see you guys on again and see some other folks on as well. I was let's see Matt again, and I want to see Eric and just everybody that doesn't get enough FaceTime on Facebook. So
absolutely,
everybody soon.
Yeah, so please tune into the rest of our videos. We've got some really upcoming awesome videos throughout the rest of the week. Our schedule is posted right on our Facebook page, so I encourage you all to tune in, share, like the videos, let us know what you think, and we will probably see you later in the week at some time.
Yeah, bring pizza.
Yes, bring pizza. Bye, guys. Have a happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Peace out.